It's wild, right? You see these celebrities, these huge names, and then bam, serious accusations. Like with Sean Diddy Combs.
Yeah, Diddy.
We all know him, the rapper, entrepreneur, Mr. Everything.
Right.
But now, some heavy legal stuff. Lawsuits that paint a whole different picture.
This is big, you know. Not just a Hollywood scandal. We're talking sexual assault accusations, multiple people. Can't ignore that. Makes you think, what's going on behind the scenes, especially with someone as big as Diddy? The power he has.
Okay, so 5 people, men and women both, making these accusations, all repped by Tony Busby.
And that's where it gets even trickier. Busby, he's known for these big cases. And get this, he's got 120 clients with cases against Diddy. So these 5 lawsuits, as bad as they are, could be just the beginning.
Wow, 120, it's
a lot.
Yeah.
And we got to remember, these are allegations. Diddy's not guilty of anything yet. But still, that many accusations, got to raise some eyebrows.
For sure. So let's break it down one by one. Start with the earliest. 2008, a former Echo clothing employee said Diddy assaulted them at Macy's in New York.
What gets me about that one, they're saying Diddy's bodyguards were involved. Like, the lawsuit says it happened in the stockroom and his security team was in on it. That's a power dynamic that goes way beyond Diddy himself.
That's scary. And this isn't the only party accusation. 2006, a security worker at Diddy's white party claims his drink was spiked and then assaulted.
Date rape drugs, if it's true, that's a whole other level of messed up. It's awful on its own, and it makes it so hard for victims.
How so?
Well, memories get foggy, evidence is hard to come by, and the trauma, it's tough to remember everything clearly.
It's awful. Makes it even more important to listen when someone does come forward. And speaking of parties, 2021, someone else who went to Diddy's party said the same thing. Drug, drink, woke up during an assault. More than coincidence, don't you think?
Absolutely. Multiple accusations, similar stories, the drugging. It suggests a pattern. This isn't just random incidents. If it's true, it means there's a real disregard for consent, a major abuse of power.
It's sickening. And it goes back years, 1998 to 2021. That's a long time.
That's what's crazy. It's not a phase, not a one-time thing. If these accusations are true, we're talking about a deeply ingrained pattern of abuse that went on for years, decades.
And both men and women coming forward. That's not something you see every day, especially with a big name like Diddy.
Yeah, it's not typical. The #MeToo movement, it's helped more men come forward, but it's still mostly women, especially when it's someone powerful.
So what does that tell us about these accusations against Diddy?
It might mean there's something much deeper, much darker going on. Like I said, power dynamics. If true, this wasn't just about gender. It was about Diddy using his status to hurt people, men and women.
Okay, so let's get into 2 more accusations. 1998, a 16-year-old at Diddy's white party says he was pulled aside for a chat and it got inappropriate.
That one, it's all about consent, that power imbalance. A 16-year-old, that's a minor. For someone like Diddy to do that, that's not just wrong. It could be criminal.
Yeah, it's a reminder of how money and fame can be used to take advantage of people. Younger, less powerful.
Exactly. It's the dark side of fame. People get silenced. This case, it makes us face something uncomfortable. Someone we might admire could also do terrible things.
And then there's 2004. A 19-year-old college freshman invited to a photo shoot says she was then assaulted at a hotel after party.
Man, that one's rough. Because it's about abusing power in the industry. You have this young woman just starting out, and it's someone like Diddy who takes advantage.
It's heartbreaking, and it makes you wonder how many other stories are out there, people too afraid to say anything.
You're right. It takes guts to come forward, especially against someone like Diddy. Yeah, for sure. I mean, think about it. Going up against someone like Diddy, that's terrifying.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And if we're just talking about these 5 accusations, the legal stuff for Diddy, it's huge.
Oh, yeah. We're talking multiple sexual assault allegations over decades. And, like, if more people come forward, which, let's be real, that's possible, Busby said he's got 120 clients. Diddy could be in some serious trouble.
You mentioned how hard it is to defend accusations from so long ago. Can you explain that a bit more? What makes it so tough?
Okay, so try to remember something specific from like 5, 10, 20 years ago. Got it. Now imagine proving or disproving those memories in court. It's almost impossible.
Right.
Witnesses move, they pass away, memories change, evidence gets lost, or there isn't any to begin with. It's like trying to build something with half the pieces missing.
Oh, wow. That's a good way to put it. And with Diddy in jail right now in Brooklyn, waiting on that bond appeal decision.
Yeah.
It just adds to it all.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. So for people who don't speak lawyer, a bond appeal basically means Diddy's trying to get out of jail before the trial. And he's on his third try, so the judge might be worried he'll run or could be dangerous if they let him out. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it is. Makes you wonder what kind of evidence is out there, even though we haven't seen it all. This case, it's going to be huge. But let's zoom out for a sec.
Good idea.
This isn't just about Diddy, right? It's about how obsessed we are with celebrities and the power they have. We put them up so high, and sometimes we ignore the bad stuff because we're blinded by the fame, the money.
It's true. That's the dark side of it all. Diddy, he's worked hard to be seen as a businessman, a music icon, even a role model. These accusations, if they're true, they wreck that, show a whole different side of him.
It makes you think, what does this do to someone like that? Someone who's built their whole life on this image.
It's like everything falls apart. His brand, his legacy, all of it's being questioned now. Even if he wins in court, these accusations, they're going to stick with him. Makes you think about the price of fame, and the consequences of your actions, especially when you have that much power.
And it's not just him, right? The music industry, the whole entertainment world, this changes things for them too. We've seen these accusations before, but this feels different.
It's the hashtag #MeToo movement, for sure. It's giving people the guts to talk, to call out abusers, and it's changed how we see all this. Less tolerance for excuses, more support for victims, and people want justice.
That's a good thing, isn't it? That we can even have this conversation, that people take these accusations seriously.
Absolutely. This conversation needs to happen, even if it's tough, even if it makes us rethink what we thought about someone. This is how we make things better. It starts with talking.
It really does. So let's talk about what this all means for Diddy's future, for the entire entertainment world. What could happen?
Yeah, let's get into it.
So Diddy, this whole thing, it really makes you think differently about the entertainment industry. It's like peeking behind the curtain and realizing it's not always a pretty sight.
It is. We're talking about a culture that often shields the powerful no matter who gets hurt. For so long, the entertainment industry turned a blind eye. It was all about don't ask, don't tell when it came to this stuff.
And it goes beyond just what happens on set or in the studio, right?
Right.
These accusations against Diddy, it's parties, photo shoots, hotels. It's like, where does work end and personal life begin?
That's exactly it. Those lines get blurry, and sometimes that's on purpose. And that's when things can get really bad. Especially for someone trying to make it, it's way harder to speak up when this stuff is tied to their job, their career.
It's a recipe for disaster. It makes you wonder, even if a jury finds Diddy innocent, can he ever really outrun this?
Right. Public opinion, it's powerful. His reputation's taken a hit. His brand, too. That's not easy to fix.
Especially now with social media and everything. It's not like it just disappears. These accusations, they'll follow him online, every comment section, every time his name comes up.
The internet remembers everything. And people, they don't forget either. This is how it is now. You do something, there are consequences.
It makes you think, can the entertainment industry ignore this? Can they really just keep going like nothing's changed?
They can't. And I think we're already seeing a change. People are speaking up more and more, and audiences, they aren't putting up with this anymore. The industry has to change or it'll get left behind.
It's a major wake-up call. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you really want our listeners to remember?
Think critically. Don't just believe the headlines or the image someone's selling. Think for yourself. Look at who has power, who doesn't, and always, always believe survivors. Support them.
Well said. This conversation, it can't end here. We have to keep talking, keep pushing for change, even when it's not in the news anymore. We need a world where everyone feels safe, where power isn't abused, and where people are held accountable. That's what it comes down to.